Hi, Andrew.
How you doing, Dana? Hey, good afternoon, good evening, Judge Joe Brown.
How you doing, young man?
I'm doing great, sir. It's a pleasure always to be with you and Dana. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Yes.
You're just as lovely as you sound over the phone.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Very nice man. Very approachable. It's nice. I swear to God, it's my neighbor, and he has this loud ass motorcycle, and it's around the same time every night. He gets in it and drives up the street loudly. Anyway, um,
Gets on it.
He
he
gets on
gets
it. I
on
was
it.
about to say that too, Judge, but she said
Whatever he
gets it.
does with it, but I think he
Yeah.
purposely knows when I'm live on YouTube, and he puts, I don't know what they do, but it's just a loud motorcycle. It's annoying. But anyway, thank you, Andrew, Mr. Wyatt, for coming
Thank
on.
you.
So introduce yourself before we get into the discussion, and tell people who you are, what you do.
Andrew Wyatt, founder of Purpose PR firm. I represent Bill Cosby and a host of other people. As you know, I have been in the midst of a lot of high profile battles, legal battles, unjust battles for Mr. Cosby. Uh, you saw an egregious and duplicitous district attorney out of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and what I call a hanging judge. No disrespect to Judge Brown in the field of judges, but one of the most corrupt judges that I've ever seen, going into a
I think it
courtroom.
was an embarrassment. I think it was an embarrassment.
It was. It
Let
was an
him
embarrassment to the
talk.
profession. It was an embarrassment to the profession.
What I
And
said, there's a delay. He was an
yes,
embarrassment.
right,
Yes.
right, right. So, we got through that. Mr. Cosby was vindicated by the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court. But I tell everybody, people ask me why Bill Cosby? Why is this happening to him? Well, anytime a black man in this country, in America, tries to humanize black people, humanize black women, humanize people in the faith-based community, you have a target on your back, and they try to assassinate you. First, they assassinate your character and your reputation. Then they try to physically assassinate you. We saw that same assassination happen with people like MLK, Malcolm X, and happy birthday to him, Medgar Evers, and so many great leaders that we have watched. You know, we have watched this country assassinate with no apology, with no remorse. But until we, as a people, we come together and we try to change the look and image of our community, and our sisters come together, not saying all are bad, and not saying all our brothers are bad, but we have to come together and we have to support each other. And, anytime I remember walking into that courthouse, no black people were out there. You look at the hundreds of millions of dollars that Mr. and Mrs. Cosby gave to poor people, not just for education, but people don't know this history that they used to fund the Black Panther movement. They would give the money to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he would take the money to feed the families because they saw how the Black Panther community was trying to invoke change within the family structure, the Black family structure. These are the same people who said, we're looking at Hollywood. We see no fashion designers that are black. We see no makeup artists that are black that are working in this industry. They put their money forward, $1 million, and said, we're going to not only train these people, but get them certified and get them initiated into Hollywood. Now, these are the same people who, where Bill Cosby was doing I Spy, and he see a white man flip a car, and they paint the white man down. And he said, look, I got some black guys who could do that in North Philly for $25. And he told them, he said, look, I will not shoot another scene unless you get me a black double, who's still alive today, Clarence Brown.
Mhm.
And he helped Clarence start the Black Stuntmans Association.
Right.
Everything I'm talking about is to uplift our people. And when white people see us doing that, and they see somebody on the level of Bill Cosby who they feel slipped through the cracks, that's when they try to assassinate you. That's when, look, the closest person you could get to someone to assassinate is taking away a man's namesake. They murdered his son.
Hmm.
They murdered his son, his only son. And you know, just what, over 2 decades ago, you know, Ennis murder happened around April.
Right.
Uh, you know, when they take those things away from you because you're trying to purchase a network, not only are you trying to purchase a network, you're also trying to purchase the Cleveland Browns football team at the same time.
Oh, he was doing a lot.
You're doing a lot. You're a black man who, in the Navy, you serve your country. You serve this Constitution, your country, for 4 years in the Navy. And in the Navy, his captain, female Captain Jean Heath, she had a German Schnauzer. And Mr. Cosby he was a physical therapist in the Navy. And he used to teach this dog how to make the people laugh who were injured or hurt or sick in the ward. And he saw black people not being able to get in the Westminster Dog Show. And they tried to block him out. So he got his captain in the Navy, who's a white female, Captain Jean Heath, another white woman, and he funded it, and they call themselves the Black Watchers. He won Westminster Dog Show twice. He won first with Awesome Blossom, the Lakeland Terrier, and he won with Harry Dandy the Denmark Terrier. You know, this man has done so much to uplift the community. I was on the phone with a guy today. They call him Bear. Bear met Mr. Cosby in the 80s. Right now, Bear is he's dealing with kidney failure, and he has to do dialysis every day. And he told me the story. He said, "Look, when he said I call him, my nickname for him is himself." He said when himself walked into a restaurant, women threw themselves at him. He didn't have to have a pill because he was the drug. He was the pill.
Hmm.
He was the black man who walked into a room. He said every restaurant he walked into, he would walk past the people at the table and walk directly in the kitchen because he knew the people in the kitchen would never get a picture with him or get to see him. No, this is a man who cared by so many people, but Black America, for some odd reason, got scared and turned their backs on him.
Why do you think?
Not just Black America, regular Black people, but Black people in the entertainment industry as well.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that, especially black people in the entertainment industry, and black people who have a voice, basically, why do you think that they kind of shunned him? Is it because they didn't
Money,
want to get
money,
blackballed themselves?
money,
Yeah,
money, afraid of not working again.
right.
Look, I could tell you stories of how
May I
Jill
offer
Scott. Go ahead, Judge. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, Judge.
may I offer one observation? We touched on it earlier. See, if you've got Bill Cosby types out there, the youth focus on somebody like him. Whitey, that upsets the agenda of the Hollywood types, so they would much rather destroy Bill Cosby so you can ideate on a whole like Cardi B.
Right. If there
I
was
mean,
no
that's
Bill
what it is.
Cosby, if you
Destroy the
destroy Bill,
positive,
mhm.
deal with the negative.
You destroy Bill Cosby, there's no Kevin Hart, there's no Dave Chappelle. You know, but now you have the Dave Chappelles of the world, and you have the Chris Rocks of the world, where they're puppets now, and you're the puppet master because now the black slave won't get out of line now. See, in order, whenever a slave would run away, we saw it in Roots. What did they do to Kunta Kinte? They chopped off his foot.
Hmm.
So, in order to get black people in line to where you can retain being the puppet master, you take an iconic figure down. But see, they did not win. This is a man who went into a level 5 maximum security prison and asked to be put in general population. This is a man who's 100% blind due to glaucoma. He lost his sight 10 years ago. He can't see you or me, can't see a figure or anything. But he went into general population at SCI Phoenix. This is a man who showed men how to be men in
Right.
a prison with murderers in death row, guys on death row. When guys and even the correctional officers would come and address him and say, Bill, he was like, no, what's your name? It was like such and such Jones, such and such Walker. He would say, no, Mr. Jones, Miss Walker. And you would refer to me as Mr. Cosby. See,
Can
it's
I one
about,
second, one
go
second.
ahead.
Can How is my value now? I'm so sick of people putting in the chat, your mic is low. Turn up your volume. So I'm pretty sure I'm loud now. Thank you. How do
Okay, no problem. No problem. It sounds good now
Okay.
to me.
You're not. You're
You're
not.
not?
Well, I just got an echo from you, young brother. And Dana, you are breaking up badly. I can
I'm
hardly
getting an
hear you.
echo from you now, Judge Brown. I'm getting a
And
huge
on this
echo from you.
thing,
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm getting one badly from you, sir. And the other
yeah.
thing is, it's going animated, and there's a 4 second delay between what's
Yeah,
being
that's
done
your
and what I'm
Wi-Fi.
looking at on the screen, let alone hearing it.
Right. You have a That's your Wi-Fi, Judge. That you have a
I'm just saying, I'm getting a delay.
yes, you're getting a delay because of your Wi-Fi, and you're breaking up because of your Wi-Fi. Because I could hear Mr. Wyatt on real time, loud and clear. It's your Wi-Fi.
Well, I can't hear either one of you too clearly. So.
Yeah. All right. So
Anyway, we'll work through it.
yeah, stop
Yeah,
telling me
we'll work through it.
yeah, the chat, stop telling me my mic is low. Turn your volume up because I'm very loud right now, very loud. So y'all just gonna have to deal with it. What you were saying, Andrew, just going through Mr. Cosby's resume of what he created, donated, and for Black people, it was more like a do for self. If we invest our own money and create it, we don't have to worry about being shut out of the white man's club or whatever. Like, it's very important for Black people to create their own communities, their own organizations, institutions. And it seems like, well, it's not seems like, he knew that. And that's what he lived by, especially his generation. And which is why he wanted to purchase NBC. I did not know he wanted to purchase the Cleveland Brown, because now it's a big talk about a Black person being the owner of an NFL team. You have billionaires like a Jay-Z, combined with his wife income. You have, men, Black men and women with money, and they haven't done it. But it seems like they're really just trying to do everything possible to block Bill Cosby and destroy him at the same time. Um, and then you
Well,
spoke.
Dana, let me just to educate you on something. A lot of people who Hollywood show, and you could Google net worth and those type of things, are not necessarily, they're not accurate. More people are asset rich and cash poor.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of a lot of these people have assets, and for most in most cases, they don't have $1 billion cash just sitting around. Unless you own, you look at the Bus family that owns the Lakers.
Right.
Okay, they're asset rich and they're cash rich. They own the facility. They own the team. They pay for the team to travel. They feed the team. They clothe the team. They give them all of the amenities of life that you could ever want for. Uh, but how many people on that team are not cash poor? And so when you got the Cosbys who own properties all across this country, parking lots, land.
Hmm.
They they live on a compound in Massachusetts. You own two houses on the Upper East Side. You have a house in the Palisades in California. You have a home in Elkins Park. You own all of Mrs. Cosby's family land in D.C. You own another 17,000 acres here and there. You own some parking lots. Well, you have one of the largest African American art collections in the world. Well, they're saying this black man slipped through the cracks. So when you find a black man like that who is saying, I am trying to teach my community, I asked Mr. Cosby, I said, look, what made you wanted to become this person? He said, Andrew, when I went to Hollywood and I came back to North Philly and I saw all of the drugs and people look like zombies, I knew then I had to do something. I knew then I couldn't be the stereotypical Hollywood. See, what we see now is it used to be a time, Dana and Judge Joe Brown, and Judge Joe Brown has more years ahead of me. But it used to be a time when you could go to a city and you got to see some of the most amazing graffiti
Right.
on walls. Well, now it's sitting next to you on an airplane. You know, now everything is pierced. And no one knows if you go into certain cultures in Africa what those piercings really mean. And now you have this platform called social media
Yeah.
where you don't have to have a talent. You could just become a star overnight. All you got to do is you take off your clothing, you show something, or you let a you let some sex video leak. Next thing you know, you're Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian don't sing, don't dance. Uh, what is her true talent? So when you're a black man or a black woman in this country, and you're taking your mind and you're using that brain and you're using those feelings and those emotions to say, I'm going to show my community how to earn their way. I'm not going to give it to them, to show them how to earn their way through education. Education is not always going to a 4 year college, it's getting a vocational training, maybe being the greatest plumber. I never forget in New Orleans, Mr. Cosby, he heard these people talking about, well, we couldn't drink out the water fountain. It was dirty, it was nasty. When it was his turn to speak, he said, let me address that. He said, in the black community, didn't you have a plumber? Didn't you have an electrician? You had your same wives and the mothers cleaning the houses. You mean to tell me you couldn't replace the water fountain and clean it?
Right.
You
Do it.
know,
Yeah. It's
we
like do
we
it for
we we
yourself.
we always as a race, we have excuses. I never forget when I was pledging Omega Psi Phi fraternity. They said excuses are tools of incompetence used to build monuments of nothingness, and those who use them seldom amount to anything. And I had to learn in life, even in this fight, they said, why did you get a guy from Bessemer, Alabama? Why not Hollywood? Why not LA? Because that's how they view us. They view that this world, in order to work in this world and manipulate this world and become successful on television or having a platform like yours, you got to be Jewish, you got to be white.
Right.
And they don't expect you to have a guest like a host, your host, Judge Joe Brown. Look, I grew up watching Judge Joe Brown. I never would have thought I would have been given the opportunity to be on the show with him. That's breaking a barrier for me and my legacy that I'm creating. And those are the things that Bill Cosby has taught us. And when you're teaching black people, black, brown, and indigenous people, to stand on your own merits and stand on the strength of who and what you are, they are going to try to take you down. I got a call today, which was interesting, from a friend of mine at CNN, and he said, I want to tell you congratulations on the trial that you have next week, the civil suit, Huff versus Cosby. He said, but I want to say that you remind me of the Ali Frazier fight, and you was Frazier. He said, because I've never seen Gloria Allred run away from a camera. She refused when I did a press conference in LA at Santa Monica Courts on Tuesday. This lady ran away from the camera. No comment. She goes in the judge's chamber and tries to get me reprimanded for saying that they're trying to extort Mr. Cosby or get him to bankroll alleged accusers. That's the truth.
Right.
But she's not used to a black man. A
Checkers.
black man, because she's used to black men settling. And Judge Joe Brown knows her very well. So, the world and mainstream media, they don't want to talk about this civil case that's happening in LA on Monday. They don't want to talk about
I
that
didn't even
because,
know it was going on until
look,
you
we
mentioned it.
start jury selection on Monday. They don't want to talk about it because in 2014, Gloria Allred goes to the Los Angeles Times and say, Bill Cosby, give me $100 million and I'll get a retired judges. I will get 5 retired judges to sit on a panel as arbitrators, and they will listen to each woman claim that I bring forward, and they will decide what woman gets what amount. This is the same woman that the alleged accusers in the criminal trial in 2018 to 2017 say she's not my attorney, she's my publicist and agent.
Mm. Wow.
So, that's where we're at today.
Right.
And it's about history, it's about legacy. And my job is not only to get him vindicated through the judicial system. That same constitution that was developed in 1776 played the race card, minus when they didn't add the amendments. They played that race card when they put us on a ship and brought us to that country. But they want to blame us for playing the race card. That same Constitution in 1776, 87 years later, in 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was brought forward to free black people. They said, no, we can't let these black people run around free. So they created convict labor. And that's why we
Wesley
see
versus
prisons
Ferguson.
today.
Right.
And now, 1863 to 2022, 159 years later, they look, history is not repeating itself. History never changed. It never changed. And we have to be wise enough to realize that history has never repeated itself. That's why I always say we have to be careful when we say civil rights. Civil rights was for the era of the 60s, the 50s, and it was worth fighting for. Their civil rights for us now is an officer putting his knee on the neck of a black man, an officer shooting a woman without a search warrant coming into her house. That's civil rights. Their civil rights is to murder us and kill us. We have to say equal rights because when we say I want to be on your same level, that's when you have a problem. And that's what Bill Cosby has always been about. That's what the Cosby family has always been about. Why they will continue to come after Bill Cosby? Because they have not murdered him yet.
Why do they
The
want?
whole objective is to murder him. To,
Why? Why?
well, because look, this is a
Because he's
man.
old. You see what I'm saying? He's old, but
But look, he'll be 85 this year, but he's in great health. But the
hmm
problem is that when they put you in prison, that is supposed to destroy you. They gave Bill Cosby a 2 year and 10 month unwanted vacation. Okay, they was hoping he never got COVID in prison. Prison, in my opinion, saved his life because he had to have 2 emergency surgeries while in prison. His carotid arteries on the left and right side had 90% blockage.
oh, let me ask you this because